We are now talking to Grizzlies radio play-by-play broadcaster, Eric Hasseltine. What's going on, Eric?
What's going on, man? How are you?
We are good, man. We haven't spoken to you in a while.
I know. I thought I did something to piss you off.
No.
I mean, like, long-winded verbatim radio guy gets bounced from show.
Get out of here.
Headline. Hey, you know what wouldn't be a headline? My Oakland A's spend more than $5 on a player. That will not happen either.
Even when they spend
Holy
$5
crud.
on a player, they usually are either in first or second place at this time. They're having a big year.
It's funny when you have a great third baseman and first baseman, and they're now playing in other places. And although Matt Chapman is not hitting like Matt Olson is, it's still better than what the A's have right now. It's crazy.
Yeah, but you want to know something? This is an organization that believes in the Moneyball situation, and I believe they'll figure it out. This is a smart organization, and they have a bunch of really smart people running the organization on the top end.
This is true, but they play in a terrible stadium, so they were going to have a hard time getting fans. But when they go to Vegas, I'm looking forward to that, right?
Well, you know why the Las Vegas Raiders left over there, so.
I know. I had season tickets to both years ago.
I always wanted to go and check out an Oakland Raiders game. I never got a chance to do that. Curtis Martin, I've gone to a couple of events with him. He does a lot of concussion events here on Long Island in New York.
Sure.
And he told me his favorite place to play was Oakland because of the fans, how crazy they were, and how loud it was. He told me when you went into the locker rooms, you felt the stadium shake. That's what he said.
It's nuts. I covered them for 3 years, and I was there when Tony Siragusa planted Rich Gannon at the 40-yard line and ended that AFC title game, and it went deathly silent. But covering those games, you could go down on the field for the last 2 minutes, and there were times I was frightful for my life because these people are not normal, and they will yell and throw things at abnormally large humans that play football and want to fight them. And I'm like, this dude is 6'4", 375 pounds, and will break you in two. And they're calling his mother names I didn't even know existed. And I would just be, especially like a Chiefs game or a Broncos game, you hear things. I was in my late 20s, early 30s, and I'm going, this is making me uncomfortable. Like, this is crazy. And I played sports and heard some trash talk all my life, but this was next level stuff. So it was a great environment, but it's just unfortunate. The stadium is antiquated and outdated. We went 1 year, the first year we ever played Golden State in the playoffs. We actually finished the season on the road in San Francisco, our second to last game, our last road game. And so 4 of us went to a baseball game to see the A's play. And I kind of warned the guys. I said, hey, we're going to take BART over. That's their rapid transit. Just be prepared. This is not going to be like going to New Busch Stadium. We had a Cardinals fan, or the Braves Stadium when it was Turner Field. I said, this is going to be a little less than what you guys expect. They were all mad at me. They're like, you didn't even do this justice. This is absolutely the worst place we've ever been. I can't believe a baseball team plays here. It's a concrete just jail, it looks like. And there's one place to buy beer that we can find. And I was like, well, you know, I tried to tell you, like, yeah, you didn't do it justice.
See,
but
it might
the team was good.
It might be a concrete jail, but at least they don't have a jail in their stadium like the Eagles do.
This is true. The Kangaroo Court, hey, that made them some money. That was pretty brilliant. What's going on, fellas? How you been?
We're good. Obviously, you're really good with your Grizzlies. As everybody knows, we were talking to Grizzlies radio play-by-play broadcaster Eric Hasseltine. He's been a friend of the show, and we haven't spoken to him for a while. So why don't we get into your Grizzlies? This is a team that surprised a lot of people. They were the second seed in the Western Conference.
Sure.
They were a dominant team. We all know how good John Morant was, but this year we saw the growth of who he became as a player and really the dominant point guard. I think the most dominant point guard in the NBA. What were your thoughts of the growth of what you've seen as a rookie with John Morant and going into this year where he became a dominant force?
You could see it early on, and I think you started to see it in the playoff series the previous year against Utah. That experience really helped him grow into a more confident player. And then a move that they took a lot of hits for and a lot of flack for by trading Jonas Valanciunas for Steven Adams and then moving draft picks and moving up to take Zaire Williams. A lot of people thought they took a step back with that, but the reason was Ja would defer a little bit to Jonas early in a game because Jonas is a guy that needs early touches to get his rhythm, and I get that. And Jonas is a terrific big man, and he was a great asset to the Grizzlies to get you a double-double. But you needed Ja Morant to become the leader of the team. And so that was the move they had to make. So when that happened, he took that to heart. A lot of comments were made during the year. One of the comments that he became kind of known for was saying, welcome to the dark. What he was meaning was, what you don't see is what I do in the dark. I go work and I try to hone my craft. And he is a tireless worker. I've, over my career, believed a couple of things. You can have a lot of these guys in the NBA could all be star players. They're just that good. But what separates superstars from guys that are multiple-time All-Stars, legendary Hall of Fame type players is a desire to absolutely absolutely never stop working to be the best. And Ja has that. And we saw that from day one. And so that was what was encouraging. They've never had a player like that here. We've had good teams, great makeups, Marc Gasol, Mike Conley, great guys, Zach Randolph, Tony Allen, a great team that made a 7-year playoff run, but never had a galvanizing superstar. And Ja became that. And so when everybody in the desert and all the other sports betting places had the Grizzlies finishing 11th, maybe 12th, maybe 10th if they were lucky with 40 wins, 41 wins. I was like, you're underselling this group. They're going to be good. They're going to get a healthy Jaren Jackson. Ja's another year older. He'll have the control. And I really liked what I saw out of Desmond Bane in his rookie year and the move to send Grayson Allen to Milwaukee to free up those minutes for him. They realized in that series with Utah that they needed to condense the roster. The Jazz basically played them with 8 regular rotation guys. And when it came down to crunch moments where the Grizzlies were trying to get 11, 12 guys minutes, and that was Taylor Jenkins, their head coach, first real go in a playoff series, you could see the difference. And so they said, all right, we're going to condense this roster. The bottom end guys are going to be guys, if we get hurt, we know we can trust, but we're not going to worry about getting them minutes. And so by doing that, it instilled the confidence in the group that they believed in that group. So Ja took the reins with that. And after a slow start, and on the night where they fell to 9-10 in their first 19 games, Ja Morant actually got hurt, which the team then went on this crazy win streak. Ja's watching, but this is the mark to me of a really good locker room teammate and star player. He sat on the sideline and kind of just really soaked up everything that changed on that night. They got better defensively. They won 11 of their next 12. They got themselves back into the playoff picture. And when Morant came back, won the first game barely, lost the second game to Oklahoma City, who they had already beaten by 73. It was kind of like, hey, are you better without him? Which is just an insane notion. And then he really hit the ground running and became that superstar player you guys talk about. Unfortunately, at the end of the year, when he kind of got dinged up, he kind of fell out of the MVP race because the team knew they had the 2 seed locked up. With Draymond Green banged up, Steph Curry out with that injury, they didn't think the Warriors really had much chance of catching them. So when they knew they had 2 locked up, they're like, we need 12 to be healthy when the playoffs start. So we're not going to let them go. We're going to get Tyus Jones those minutes. We're very confident in his abilities. And they ran the last 21, 22 games without him, and they had a remarkable record without Ja Morant. And he unfairly, I think, took some criticism. But he takes all that in and then puts it into his memory banks and uses that as his motivation. And that's what I respect about the man. He knows that as good as he is right now, he can still get better. And there's still aspects of his game that if he improves, then he's going to be virtually unstoppable.
So you mentioned the Warriors. They had that very chippy playoff series, all that controversy, all those
Yeah.
flagrant fouls. Did you get to call any of those games?
Oh, I called all of them.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's great. With TV guys get all the glory, but after the first round of the playoffs, they don't get to go anymore.
Nice.
So I was there. I think I said on the air in game 2 when Dylan Brooks absolutely destroyed Gary Payton II, which was tough to watch because Gary has worked very, very hard to make an NBA career, and I'm happy that he got a nice contract with the Blazers in the offseason because that injury could have really set him back. And Dylan's a competitor, and I got a lot of respect for Dylan Brooks, and he admittedly said, I made a mistake. I thought I could make a play. I really didn't have a good angle. I was in the heat of the moment. I wasn't intentionally trying to hurt the man, but the angle I came left me no choice to, and I know better. I respected that, and he took it. He got in front of the media before game 4 when he was going to come back, and he heard it when he got into the games. But it was definitely chippy. It was chippy in game 1 where Draymond Green got thrown out, and I grew up a Warriors season ticket holder. I got a lot of friends still in that area. That's where I grew up. So I talk to my friends out there all the time, and Steve Kerr said Dylan Brooks broke the code. And then, of course, all you got to do is give Memphis fans a reason to think people are being disrespectful to them. And they've got the biggest chip on their shoulder in the NBA. So they're going to pipe back. So they're showing the pictures of Draymond Green pulling Brandon Clark down. Is that the code? What's the code? And it just got into it, which was fun because it made it intense. And in the end, playoff experience won out. I felt like the Grizzlies in game 1 had a chance to win it. Klay Thompson made a great defensive play. If you go back to that final shot that I didn't think got enough credit. Ja missed the layup, but he missed because Thompson got to the spot, not to take a charge, but to wall off the angle. And so Ja going in with his left hand no longer had that diagonal angle. He kind of got forced to the baseline. That's a tough shot to hit. If Thompson doesn't get there, Morant makes that layup, the Grizzlies win game 1. We're going 7 games, and it's going to be an intense atmosphere in Memphis, which we had seen was favoring the Grizzlies. And then game 4, when Brooks came back, I thought they really let one slip away there. But that was a fun atmosphere to be in. The loss wasn't fun because you never like to lose. But with an 8-point lead, and then the Warriors hit a 3, Grizzlies take a bad shot, they hit a 2, you dribble it off your foot, they hit another 2, and it's a 1-point game, and now it's intense, and everybody's rocking and rolling. And I was absolutely thrilled to be a part of it. I would have much rather come out on the high side of that, because I think had that happened, the Grizzlies would have been able to hopefully get Ja Morant back and compete with Dallas for the Western Conference title. But as Mr. Miyagi once said in Karate Kid, you got to walk before you run. That's nature's rule, not ours. That's the way it goes. And so that's a great lesson for that young team to get to that level, to lose to the eventual champions, to fight with them, to earn their respect. There's going to be a lot of trash talking and all the stuff about Klay Thompson and Jaren Jackson after the end of it. But that's today's NBA. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, take your pick. Those guys are chirping at each other. That's the way they do it now. And that's how people communicate now. And so I didn't have a big problem with that either. In fact, I want that fire back. I want the NBA to get more of these rivalries back with Minnesota. All these guys play together in the grassroots leagues when they're kids. Jaren Jackson Jr. and Jordan Poole were high school roommates. They used to break into the gym together at La Lumiere Academy in Indiana, and he was telling that story. So they're texting each other back and forth. But I want, when they step on the court, I want them to want to fight. Yeah. I want them to borderline want to throw hands and swing at each other if they're that angry. But I want it to translate into good basketball, too. I don't want to see the bad boy Pistons with my guy Ricky Mahorn clotheslining people anymore, because as much as I love Rick, man, that stuff, you can't do that anymore with these guys making this kind of money. We laugh about that, but it's just a different game in that aspect. But I want to see that intensity, not necessarily with the level of physicality where guys can get hurt, but where guys don't want to be their best friend. I don't want to be your friend for 48 minutes. We can talk the next day after the game. In fact, I don't want to be your friend for that 24 hours, day of the game, after the game. It's different with announcers. I can be friends with those guys. But when I was a player, I didn't want to be friends with my friends when we were competing against them. I'm talking about a very low level of college lacrosse or baseball on those levels. But that's just how I was raised. The guy on the other side of the court, the net, the field, the line, that's not your buddy when you're playing. That's not your friend anymore. That's your opponent, and you're out there to win. If we weren't out there to win, we wouldn't keep score.
We are talking to Grizzlies radio play-by-play broadcaster Eric Hasseltine. And by the way, we had Seth Partnow on the show on Tuesday, and I said the same thing. I don't like the game for what it is. It's really transitioned into this three-point game, offensive game. You put a pinky on somebody, it's going to be a flagrant, it's going to be a technical foul. I don't like the game. I like it when it was the 90s, where the Bulls, the Pistons, the Lakers, the Celtics, the Houston Rockets, all these guys hated each other. They got on the court, and they made sure that they put up or shut up. And it's just not the game anymore. These guys are like their best men in their weddings, their kids, godfathers. It's not what it used to be. I think the game has absolutely changed, and I think it needs to get better.
You got the Curry and Rivers family tree, right? Yeah. Seth Curry is married to Doc Rivers' daughter.
It's ridiculous.
And the kid from Louisville that plays for the Warriors is married to Steph Curry's sister.
Steph Curry's sister.
So you got all these guys that do this. I get that. I want that intensity, but I want the open flow that we had in the mid-'80s, not the let's throw it into Patrick Ewing and have him hold it for 20 seconds.
I agree with you.
Slow down, 79, 78. Knicks beat the Heat on the Allen Houston running jumper. I want that to be the end of the third quarter score. So there's a balance with it. So I'm with you on all that, but I want the intensity again. I don't want to be buddies with people.